Hey everyone, not a Mordekaiser expert here. I hope you're having a wonderful Memorial Day. Today I'm interested in throwing my hat into the ring that is Mordekaiser's rework. Now, despite being a current ADC main, Mordekaiser holds a special place in my heart. I consider him the first champion I really took an interest in. When I play video games, I often go for the Wizard or Sorcerer class. I like to deal damage in strange and roundabout ways, such as Conjuration or Alteration. However, in League that's not really an option. Mages are very straightforward in their design. Cast spells and deal damage. So, back when IP was still a thing and I was sub-level 30, I looked in the shop for a character that fit my alternative gameplay desires, and that's when I found Mordekaiser. I always loved the idea of playing the bad guy, and Mordekaiser's design involves that in the best way in my opinion. For instance, based off of their designs, you can tell that Garen is likely the protagonist of sorts, and Darius is probably an antagonist character. However, those designs are also interwoven with a lot of extra lore that can weigh down on their immediate appeal. Mordekaiser bypasses that issue by looking like the Witch of Angmar? Agnamar? I don't know, this dude from Lord of the Rings. Plus his story backs up that he's pretty neutral in all the political conflicts regarding any of the main regions. On top of that, his ability to kill someone, turn them into a ghost, and use them to kill other people was just about the most roundabout way to kill someone in League, so I purchased him and played him as soon as I could. However, it's been many years since then, and my playstyle has shifted all over the place, finally landing me at ADC for now. And over those years, Mordekaiser has actually seen very little attention in regards to any changes towards his kit. A little while back, he got a slight visual update as well as a tweak on his ultimate and W that better see him placed in bot lane, but that's so terribly contradictory to everything Mord stands for. And as much fun as it is controlling the ghost of a dragon you just defeated, it's not worth it in exchange for awkwardly being shoved in a bot lane where even Vayne outranges you. Anyways, now that Mordekaiser has finally gotten his change, I'll be briefly talking over each individual move and whether or not I personally believe that they're good changes or not. Of course, I don't fully understand the politics of designing League characters, so I could be totally off on this. I'm simply your typical League player giving my 2 cents on a champ I really enjoy. So, to begin, Mordekaiser's new passive is basically a vamped up version of his old Q. He is a triple stacking passive much like an ADC, however the stacks work with both his spells and basic attacks. It also gives him move speed on the final proc, which is nice, and is much more applicable in many more situations, unlike his old W where you basically got a discount Kirkland signature brand Janna passive. It's also important to mention that Mord's passive is no longer his shield mechanic, and to me that makes total sense. I've been trying to wrap my brain around how I would reincarnate the old shield passive, but it sort of goes against Riot's design of moving away from spellvamp and uncontrollable or inconsistent sustain. Of course, there are always exceptions to this notion, however. Mord's Q is actually much more similar to his old Q, empowering his next single auto attack on either one person or in an area. This one's pretty simple, but I like it. It means that Mord doesn't have to flash for that final Q when chasing any champion with functioning legs, and it calls back to his original design. Nice. Mord's new W is where his old passive now effectively lives. However, its current design seems much less clunky, which is always good. Basically, instead of having a shield that constantly decays or grows, which gives enemies and allies alike a poor sense of how much health Mord is on, he can activate his W once to get a shield based off of damage he's dealt or tanked, and he can cast it again to gain half of that shield back for health. This design was inevitable, and I'm okay with it, as it's necessary for maintaining him as a new champion. However, ridiculous amounts of spellvamp will always have a special place in my heart, and I'll always miss that old passive Mordekaiser once had. Originally, I was going to make a video on Mordekaiser design predictions, and his new E is exactly why. Maybe it's an obvious design choice, but when I would spend time thinking about how I would change Mord, I always envisioned his E being an alternative take on Swain's current E. I'm personally very happy with this change. Mordekaiser really needed some CC, and he finally got some. Plus, it's not some ridiculous point-and-click Nasus E wither. This change is by far Mord's most controversial, and for good reasons. And despite me loving controlling enemies' ghosts, it honestly makes total sense to remove that ability from Mord. In a 1v1 scenario, Mord's ult is incredibly weak as it's effectively a minor debuff, and once you're done killing the enemy, their ghost only really serves as a tool to help you push in their wave or be a bodyguard to allow you to more safely recall. Compare this to someone like Irelia, whose ultimate is like a fight winner effectively. In a 1v2 scenario, Mord must suffer fighting 2 people with no ultimate until he's killed 1 person. If Mordekaiser chose the stronger character for the stronger ghost, such as picking the ADC in a bot lane duo, then the weaker character, likely a glass cannon or a support, will have no issue peeling for their carry or bursting you down. If you ulted the weaker character for your ghost, once you get your ult, it's not very threatening. Soraka Ghost throwing bananas at you really isn't going to deal that much damage. The main exception to this is laning phase, where ulting either the top laner or the jungler would be advantageous. However, laning phase doesn't last forever, and losing an ultimate out of laning phase is pretty weak. And I understand that there are some characters that are very strong in laning phase and weak out of laning phase, but they still have an ultimate, right? It's not just nothing. Now obviously, Mordekaiser's ultimate can be thrown in during a team fight, but again, if you ult a carry during a team fight and they die, you're probably going to win the team fight anyways. If you ult a support, your Ghost isn't going to be that much of a threat. Not to mention, the potential introduction of a ranged character to Mord's kit actually means that people will stay even further away from him, which only attributes to his main weakness, his pitiful range. All that being said, his new ultimate looks kind of meh in my opinion. It takes away from any interaction from any other champions, which does make him more of a 1v1 type character, but it just feels kind of linear in design. Excluding the visual design, of course, the move looks pretty neat. Maybe that's what Mord needs though, a linear ultimate for his relatively linear design. I know that the crew was working on Mord and trying to keep his ultimate intact. I just hope that they can retrofit into another champion or something, someone that it would better complement. In conclusion, I'm pretty happy that Mordekaiser is finally getting his much deserved update. However, I will miss his ultimate as it really brought his character together despite its clunkiness. The visual update looks amazing. My only request is that they give Mordekaiser his much deserved pizza delivery skin in honor of his old model's feet. Rest in feet, my guy.